Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of From Print to Podcast, presented by the Roanoker magazine. I'm your friendly neighborhood editor, Liz Long, and I can't wait to share great stories from and about our region with you. We're excited to dig deeper into the stories you'll read about in our latest issues, interviewing our writers, photographers, sources, experts, and more. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's episode is all about the great things to do, play, eat, drink, and know about Virginia's Blue Ridge. We'll get outdoors with great recommendations from local content creator and new Roanoker columnist Genya Kalinina of Best of Roanoke, then chat with Roanoke Regional Chamber of Commerce President Eric Sichau about their new publication, VBR Life, as well as learn more about how the Chamber is helping our region's businesses. Last but not least, we sit down with popular food evangelist and Roanoker dining photographer John Park, who will share his recommendations on the best places in Virginia's Blue Ridge to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Go ahead and plan to grab a bite after listening to this episode. We are so excited today to welcome Genya Kalinina as our very first guest on our podcast. You probably already know Genya from her popular social media account, Best of Roanoke, which highlights all the amazing things to do and places to visit in our region. We're also very excited to share that Genya is a new columnist with the Roanoker magazine, where she's sharing even more great recommendations for things around Virginia's Blue Ridge. You can read more from her in our Jan-Feb issue on newsstands now, or see more at theroanoker.com. So I'm so excited. Hi, Genya.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming on our show today as our very first guest.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to be doing this with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I wanted to first tell our readers and listeners a little bit about you. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Well, I am 30 years old, and I pretty much love doing things local. I love exploring the area. When I first moved here in just about 3 years ago, I remember we moved here right in the autumn time, and it was so beautiful in the area, and I was just really enjoying all the hikes and thought to start doing a blog. So I started my page about right after I moved here.
And it's really blown up, right?
It really has. When I first started, I did not think it would get as big as it did, but I think people really enjoy getting a local firsthand perspective on things to do in the area. And because I don't like sitting at home that much, I love going out and exploring. I think I'm a good person, to give that kind of perspective. I also really like trying new food. I'm not nervous to try something different, try one of the hole-in-the-wall places and kind of test it out for people. So,
well, now you set it up. So what's a hidden gem for a restaurant that you go? We're going to talk about food later on in our episode, but what are some of your recommendations?
Yeah, I would say, honestly, Williamson Road is a gem. Some of the places, you might be a little bit skeptical, honestly, going in, but I've never been disappointed with, any food on Williamson Road.
Yeah, my favorite spot on Williamson probably has to be Viet Sub, right?
Yeah. I actually just went there for lunch.
Well, now I'm going to have to go since we're talking about it. It's
Yeah.
going to make me crave it. So again, thank you so much. And you're going to be a new columnist for us. And if you don't mind telling listeners kind of what they're going to be able to read and see in print and online, kind of what you're covering.
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be an extended version of my page. It's going to be similar. I love focusing on what to do in the area. I love focusing on things that anybody can do. So, I'll be writing about hikes and outdoors, of course, but it's going to be things for the family, or I'll have a variety of shore and all different difficulty types. It's going to be affordable things to do and just things anybody can do. That's kind of what I do on my page and what I'm planning to do with the column as well.
Perfect. And that sounds great. And especially for our Jan-Feb issue. So obviously, one of the things that we do for the Roanoker in our Jan-Feb is our newcomer's guide. And so this is a great way for people who haven't been here to learn all about all the things to explore and do. But really the key is, for the locals who have lived here for a long time, it's also important that they find the hidden gems and the new things they might not have even known about and explore kind of outside of their favorites. I know I'm guilty of staying in my neighborhood bubble every once in a while, and so I'm excited to see the recommendations you're going to give me so I can head on out and find them. So if you don't mind, we're going to jump right in. So as far as being a newcomer, or perhaps you're planning a short weekend with us here in Virginia's Blue Ridge, what are some places to stay and things to do, recommendations you might have for them?
Yeah. Well, of course, cliche, but you have to start with a visit to the Star. I mean, everybody.
I got married under the stars, so I am very partial.
Yeah, of course. But I will say, when you go up to the Star, sometimes like the main overlook can get pretty crowded, but there's another overlook just like a little short walk down, which is actually really nice, and there's hardly anybody there.
And one of the trails is pretty easy too in terms of the mountain. I've taken my dog up there, and it doesn't quite feel like, so much of an uphill battle.
Yeah, exactly. Most people drive up to the Star, but you can actually like hike up there or bike up there. So there's like quite a few things to do up there, and then take in the view, of course. So Mill Mountain is really cool.
Yeah, and while you're there, don't forget to stop at the zoo or the wildflower garden. Those are really cool spots too.
Yeah, exactly. And then I would say one of my top recommendations is to drive on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Roanoke is the largest city on the Blue Ridge Parkway, so I think sometimes people like don't take advantage of all the like overlooks and everything, which are really, really close by. One of my favorite places to visit is Sharp Top, which is about 45 minutes away, but the route there to get there is really beautiful. So that's definitely like a top recommendation for me.
Absolutely. And it's pretty exciting that you can do that all without really going very far from here, from downtown, from the city, and from where we live. It really is. You can kind of walk out your back door and be in nature and forget that you're even near the city.
Yeah. We're so lucky to live here because people will come here basically like to vacation from, DC. They have to drive like 3 hours. It's the whole thing for them to go like hike McAfee Knob or something. They have to do a whole weekend trip here. But living here, we can just like wake up and decide to go do it. So I think that's really cool.
We're very lucky.
Yeah.
Excellent. So where else are you recommending that newcomers go?
I really think the Hotel Roanoke would be a really cool place to stay. And even if you're not staying there, the Pine Room restaurant and bar, I think is really neat. You don't have to stay there to go. And it's a really cool like circular bar. And they also have food and drinks. So I would really recommend that. And the Liberty Trust Hotel is really nice too.
That's a really cool spot. And a historic building too.
Yeah, exactly. And those are both really great locations right downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then after you're done taking in all the outdoors, I would say definitely finish the day at a brewery or a winery. That's my favorite way.
Plenty of those to pick from around here.
Yeah, exactly. Parkway is a really good one, especially in the winter. They have like a fireplace going, and it's really nice and cozy in there.
Cool. What are your favorite downtown breweries? Because we have several.
We do. I like Old Salem a lot. I think they have like a really good selection of beer.
And you're talking about their new corner spot downtown?
Yeah.
It's a neat little space.
Yeah. But honestly, you can't really go wrong with any of them.
Yeah. So for the record, there's Big Lick Brewery, which has cornhole out front if you're willing to deal with some of the colder temperatures, but obviously inside is fun too. And then one of the new favorites is Golden Cactus. I love the West End Wednesdays they're doing to promote community and local vendors and Sunday brunches. And their beer's good too. So you've got lots of good brewery choices around here.
And Twisted Track, you can't forget Twisted Track.
Absolutely. Their food is out of this world.
Yeah. And they have, I think they have fire pits, so that might be kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Lots of options.
Perfect. So any other recommendations for people who are visiting for the weekend?
I think, just all the outdoor things.
Perfect.
And all the beer.
Perfect. Well, so let's talk about what the local spots locals may not know, because I know that a lot of people who live here their whole lives and then suddenly, a Viet Sub or somewhere in Williamson kind of pops up and they're like, oh man, I never even knew. So favorite hidden gems that you think we really need to know about?
Yeah, that's something I really enjoy about like running the page is I will get quite a few DMs actually from my followers saying I've lived here so long and I didn't know. One is actually, I'm a little bit surprised, but Carvin's Cove, I feel like it's a little bit like underappreciated, just like for how beautiful it is. I think people don't realize like what a gem we have here. You can kayak, they rent kayaks out there. You can, it's amazing for mountain biking. I don't mountain bike, but you can like walk the trails, and then you can hike Hay Rock and actually get like a really beautiful view of Carvin's Cove. And all of that is pretty much free aside from like a parking fee.
Right. And the cove itself is actually part of the Ironman as well.
Oh, cool.
That takes place is it June, I think? Mm-hmm. And so it's really neat to be able to take opportunities like that and, see people swimming when you might not otherwise. So.
Yeah. So Carvin's Cove. And then wanted to say Happy Hollow Gardens is really nice in the spring. They have like a beautiful azalea trail. And I know when I posted about that, people were really surprised that we have like this beautiful park.
Yep. Okay. 12 years here. And where is that located so I can visit immediately?
It's out in, I think it's in Cave Spring area.
Perfect.
Yep, Happy Hollows.
Right down the corner from our podcast office studio. So,
yep.
Excellent. Any other hidden gems that you think are really worthy of sharing?
There's one place on my list I haven't been to yet, actually, but I hear it's really cool. I don't know if you've been. It's a Jolly Grape in Grandin.
Yes, so I really enjoy them. That's in my neighborhood bubble I mentioned earlier. So we're constantly walking by, and we like to see the logo on there and maybe enjoy a nice glass or three, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going there. And then I was going to say for like really good biscuits up in Newcastle at Last Day Market, they're like out of this world, worth the drive.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, how far as traveling outside of here, because you do have Roanoke City, but of course there's the county, there's Salem, there's Franklin County, Botetourt County. You've listed several places that are sort of all over. So it's great that we're, showing that it's not just downtown, right? It's an integral position, but we have so much around the area.
Yeah, we do.
And so talking about anything in Franklin or Botetourt or the other surrounding areas that you really recommend?
Yes, absolutely. Smith Mountain Lake is really cool. And then Philpott Lake is really nice too. I went there camping over this past summer, and it was really nice. It was an island in the middle of Philpott Lake, or not the middle, but actually it was pretty close to the coast. Because you had to either canoe or kayak out there, but it was really short and very like pretty accessible actually. But the island was almost empty, so it was like really nice even in the middle of summer. So I would like highly recommend camping out there or just visiting Philpott Lake. It's really pretty.
Nice way to get away from the city hubbub, right?
yeah, and it's only like an hour away, so it's
perfect.
really not bad.
So let's talk real briefly before we shut down about shopping. So, you're looking for gifts or probably a little something special for yourself, because I'm a big fan of treat yourself.
Yeah.
So where are you shopping these days? Where do you recommend people might pop in?
I like chocolate paper a lot in downtown. They are organized like so cool where they have like a little gift section for pretty much like anybody. Even that one person that you're like, I have no idea what to get them. You're probably going to find it at chocolate paper.
Absolutely. So, they've got great greeting cards too. So.
Yeah. And they have like these chocolate Roanoke stars, which taste incredible.
Absolutely. So. Fair warning, if you go in there, you're going to leave with chocolate. So
exactly.
It's impossible.
You can't lose.
Absolutely. Any other great shopping spots you might recommend?
Mass General Store has pretty much anything you'd need for outdoor gear, which is important.
Yeah. For an outdoor lover such as yourself, I guess you're able to pack it all up and take it with you.
Yeah.
Perfect. And of course, there are always lots of spots in Roanoke County. You've got Promenade Park and, all the different, shopping malls around town. And buying local is super important to us. So we feel really strongly that, we can't wait to see you guys in there shopping locally with all your neighbors and friends and supporting their efforts in the community. Well, and again, thank you so much for being our very first guest on From Print to Podcast. I'm so glad you were here to be our guinea pig and for sharing your recommendations on the great events, places, and more that you'll find in Virginia's Blue Ridge. And we're so grateful for your time, and we can't wait to see more from you in our new column found in our Jan-Feb issue and throughout the rest of 2023. Be sure to follow Genya on social media at Best of Roanoke and read her latest column in her Jan-Feb issue on newsstands now, or see more at theroanoker.com. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Lots more to come.
Our next segment is sponsored by the Roanoke Regional Chamber. Founded in 1889, the Roanoke Regional Chamber represents more than 800 businesses with over 75,000 employees and an estimated payroll of more than $1.5 billion. They foster the growth of their members and community by offering relevant programs and events designed to address business needs, solve business problems, and increase opportunities for members. The Chamber also promotes regional business by providing invaluable referrals and connections and influencing public policy to benefit all businesses. The Roanoke Regional Chamber believes that if something impacts your business and the growth and success of our region, it's our business too. Learn about their services, membership, events, and more at roanokechamber.org. All right. right, we are back, and we are so excited to welcome Roanoke Regional Chamber President Eric Sichau to the podcast. The Chamber is a terrific partner, and we're really proud to work with them on their Visitor's Guide, VBR Life, the perfect publication for visitors and locals alike to learn all about Virginia's Blue Ridge. You can read more from the Chamber in their special publication of VBR Life, found in their office, around town, and in our Jan-Feb issue of the Roanoker, on newsstands now. You can also see some of the content on theroanoker.com, because we always make sure to share that with our readers. So welcome, Eric. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited for you to be on our next segment.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Happy New Year.
Probably still a little bit cold out, but we're excited for a good 2023.
Yes, us too. And you guys have a lot coming up, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So you actually were celebrating your wonderful accomplishment because you just recently became the Roanoke Regional Chamber's new president. And so I wanted to send a quick note to Joyce Waugh, who is someone I have respected and admired for so long. She's done such a wonderful job. It's sort of like you got big shoes to fill, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Joyce has been an icon and a legend in our region for 44 years. Half of her career, we've been, the region's been grateful to have her as 22 years with the chamber, 14 as president, and then prior to that, she was in 8 years in public policy.
Wow.
So public policy being one of the most important pieces and one of the most important pillars to the chamber. So she's been a big part of, it was amazing when I started. Joyce knows everyone. It's like, oh, this is this is this.
She does.
This is who this is. And how incredibly helpful that was. And to look back to where we are as a chamber then to where we are now in her leadership with this transition of me, I'm honored to take over as president and grateful for the opportunity to just continue the legacy that we have. And Joyce has been an incredible part of that in just so many pieces, not just with the chamber, but with the city's centennial celebration and Explore Park and economic development. There's all these different pieces. And then to have her put all that together to come with the chamber for the last 22 years, it's incredible.
Right.
So we wish her nothing but the best. And she'll be around. I know she's definitely wanted to get her rest in.
Right. She spent last fall traveling the world, basically,
Yeah.
on her birthday. She has this great picture in a pyramid. Like, what an amazing next step for her. I cannot wait to see what she does next, of course.
Agreed.
For her own, for herself, but for the community, because she's not going to stop there.
No, she's not. She was very clear about that at the end of last year, saying everybody would say, well, what are you going to do? She goes, well, I'm going to sleep for a week, and then I got some things, I got some things working. And
Excellent.
I want to spend time with my kids, and she's got a daughter in Denver and a daughter in Richmond, and her son is here locally with her, so it'll all work out.
Yeah, she'll stay busy for sure.
Yeah, so we're grateful.
So tell me a little bit about the role that you're stepping into. What is that? You're really going to be a dedicated, servant to the community, to local businesses. What does that mean? Yeah,
it's a lot, and a lot of that has evolved through Joyce's leadership over the last 22 years. It's really just supporting the community and supporting our partners. So it could be, you all in the partnership we have, and we're going to talk a little bit about VBR Life. The partnership we have with Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge, really promoting and helping share the stories of why this area is great, not just for the locals, but for the visitors that should be coming in and choosing this part of Southwest Virginia to visit and be their destination. Partnering with all of our local government partners, all of our local economic development partners in the region. And I say region because that's more than just Roanoke City and more than just Roanoke County. It's the region. An
important note, yes.
It's Salem, Botetourt, Franklin, Allegheny, Bedford, Lynchburg, Montgomery County. All those are a part of the region that we need to continue to focus on.
So much bigger than people realize.
Yeah.
I think even locals are like, wow, I didn't realize you covered so much.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's a lot of really just supporting our team and supporting the events that we do and continuing to bring quality content, quality programming, fun, engaging events, making connections with members. We do some administrative work for some other groups in the region, one of those being the Business Council, the Roanoke Valley Development Corporation, the Greater Roanoke Valley Development Foundation. Try to get all those right.
No kidding.
So there's a lot of different groups that we've worked with over the years that are not really parts of the chamber necessarily, but are important parts to the region. And Joyce and the chamber have been an important part of that, and we're going to continue that because it all comes together.
Yeah, you're almost like the glue together. That's kind of keeping everybody in the space and working hard. And
Joyce kind of says we're the convener.
Yeah,
and we help to bring those folks together, whether it's folks with the Roanoke Regional Partnership or RBTC and all the great things that Erin Bertram and her leadership is doing. All those things come together. So it's honestly difficult sometimes to put it all together and say, okay, where do we need to go next?
Right.
So thankfully we have a great board. We have a great executive committee. We have great members. So we've always said we promote, stimulate, and improve business, and how kind of basic that is. But at the same time, when you really boil it down and start to peel the onion layer back, there's a lot to it.
Right.
So that's really what my role is in president, is supporting our team. We have a small team, as you well know, supporting our team and supporting the community and helping kind of make the connections and help us grow.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities.
You guys work so hard because you're everywhere. I mean, every time I reach out to you, you're at like 14 different events that day, and it's wild just to see, again, your small core team that works so hard to get the word out and to connect.
Yep.
And of course, a very enthusiastic president leading the ship here.
That.
So that's going to be
that,
great.
yeah.
You also mentioned public policy, and I think that's a really interesting point that some people might not realize you have a part in.
Sure.
So if you don't mind kind of diving in a little bit about that.
So the chamber takes positions on issues. We do not endorse candidates. So and there's a very clear line in that. We need to work with both sides of the aisle. We need to work with everyone on the importance of what I say, the region, and the importance of the business community. So anything that we take a position on is what we've vetted through our Public Policy Council, through our board. Terry Durkin being our Vice President of Public Policy. He's incredibly connected and incredibly smart when it comes to issues and really, how is this going to affect this? Okay, how is this going to affect this? And how is this going to be 3-5 years down the line? So it's a very interesting perspective to really try to take a step back on how is this issue, if we take a stand on it, whether it be a positive issue or a negative issue, how is that going to affect our members? How is that going to affect the business community?
Right.
But we will only take stands on issues. You will not see the chamber endorse a candidate, whether it be city council or Roanoke Board of Supervisors or state or any
Switzerland.
type of state. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So there is a PAC locally that does endorse candidates that we do some administrative work for, and that's important. But it's not a chamber program. It's just there's a lot of crossover because of the leaders in the region. They're also involved in that, and they're also involved in the chamber. So that can get a little confusing at times, but it's important for us to support the business community by taking stands on issues, and that can be locally, regionally, and on the state level. Very, very rarely will you see us take a position or make a comment on a federal issue.
Right. Well, just the information and resources you're providing are really helpful, no matter, kind of what you're looking at politically.
Yeah.
You as a business owner have to think about what's best for your business, bottom line. And so that's an important quality that you guys are really bringing to the table for your members.
Yep, absolutely.
Excellent. So I'm actually really excited into our next seg is VBR Life because we are so proud to publish this, and this is last year's because we're going to show off the new edition here really soon.
Yep.
And so you can see, we cover a bunch of different regions. You just listed a bunch. So we cover actually, 5 regions. So Roanoke City, Roanoke County, Vinton, Salem, Botetourt County, and Franklin County. And we're so proud to showcase a variety of things that happen, right? And so much to cover. You and I have been back and forth on, oh my gosh, there is so much to do. How are we going to fit this into 84 pages?
Exactly. Yeah, it's difficult.
So tell me about your goals for this, because it is for newcomers, it is for visitors, but it's also important for us to show locals where to go and what to do.
Yeah, and I think, through the work of our team and your team over the last couple of years, we've really tried to just tweak things to really, I think it's sharing the stories.
Right.
And the locals are an important piece to this. We get a lot of relocation packet requests, and I know Visit Virginia's Blue Ridge does as well, and we make sure that they are one of our first drops and make sure they are one of the first folks that has these, has VBR Life, because it's just so important to their mission. It's important to everyone's mission. It's important to just share the stories, and you guys have done a great job the last couple of years working with our team of finding kind of those small mom and pop shops that a lot of locals may not know about, and it's been eye-opening for our team, myself specifically, in learning the region, being here 3 years of, okay, yeah, let's go check that out, whether it's in Franklin County or Botetourt County or Salem, or even here in Roanoke County and City of Roanoke, or even in Vinton, with all the great things happening in Vinton. There's a lot of smaller, we'll say, hidden gems that that are important to share. So I think that's the main piece of our vision for VBR Life, is to continue to share the stories and provide it as a resource for everyone.
Right.
If you're a local that's been here, born and raised in Roanoke, born and raised in Salem, born and raised in Vinton, I'm sure you will find something in VBR Life on an annual basis that
new
makes
stuff
you
happens
go,
all the time.
We got to visit there.
Right.
So I think that's the main thing with VBR Life, is just continuing to share those stories.
Yeah, and it's also good to note that it's good for, you've mentioned everybody, newcomers and locals. It's also good for all ages.
Yes.
We're covering, retirement, because Roanoke is one of the top places to retire, in Virginia, East Coast, maybe the world, if I'm a little biased to say.
We can be biased. That's okay.
But, it's also important to note that, your 20-year-olds can pick up this and see where they can go hang out, or whatever. We're really talking about events and festivals, again, small businesses that you can frequent, shop, eat, play.
Exactly.
And it's really exciting to see not only the new businesses that are popping up, right, that really are working hard to get on the scene, but the businesses who have been around for a long time, and they've made it through a pandemic, they've made it through years of challenges and recessions or whatever. And it's great to see that they are still working hard for our region and doing things for the community. And
the options of just activities to do.
They're endless.
Outside
oh my gosh.
Eat, shop, and all that. And that's important too.
Yeah, absolutely.
For bringing talent to the region.
Yeah.
And
so
keeping talent here, I guess, too.
Yeah. And we're also talking about, business that is doing really well, the upward growth trend, particularly in Franklin County.
Yes.
All the great things that are in it. We really encourage you to pick up a copy. You can see some of the content on the Roanoker.com. Of course, you can pick up copies at the Chamber, at our office, and it's going to be in our Jan-Feb issue. We're so excited for you guys to see that on the cover of the Dr. Pepper Park. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
If you love concerts over there, it is just for you.
Yep.
Really excited about that. So talking about all the things you can do, how about you and your family? So you're recently celebrating a brand new baby. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
I can't wait to meet her one day.
Yeah.
So where are you guys going to go first? I mean, all the things that there are to do. What do you guys love to do when you have the time, of course? Now?
Yeah, and we were very strategic in the fall, certainly, especially around the flu season, with being strategic about getting out as a family and just being careful, we'll say, being careful. There's a lot that we enjoy doing. One thing we really enjoy, and I think this is a staple for most folks in the region, whenever somebody we know very well that hasn't been here yet, we have to take them to the Star.
Of course.
Just for the view.
Of course.
And I think we take that for granted, just how cool that is, especially on a clear day. I mean, it's just cool to see the mountains, go up there in the morning, go up there in the evening, sunrise, sunset. It's incredible.
There's never a bad time to go up to the mountains.
Yeah. So, and we really just enjoy just driving around the region, pointing different things out, whether it be in Salem or Vinton or Roanoke County, Roanoke City, or drive down 81, Blue Ridge Parkway, Explore Park. A lot of the festivals, we alluded to that just prior to, whether it's downtown or something at Berglund Center or something at Salem Civic Center or something going on at Dr. Pepper Park or Daleville Town Center. We really enjoy that. We've enjoyed that before we had our little one, but we enjoy that now because it's just casual. We can go walk around. It's supporting small businesses. It's supporting the community. We're not big hikers.
Me neither. I'm not
which, of course, I say that, and there's, this is a massive area for hiking.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, so we need to get there because there's some incredible things we're missing on that, whether it be McAfee's Knob or Dragon's Tooth. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Dragon's Tooth. Geez, I know we're being recorded. And I'm like, God, but messing this up.
I just said you might not want to talk to me about the outdoors.
Yeah, so there's so many options and there's so many things to do. There's so many things to do, and even in just over 3.5 years, we haven't even remotely touched.
I've been here for 12 years, man, and every time I turn around, there's like 10 more things I want to do.
Yeah.
So it's really amazing. And what's really nice is, you and your wife went from kind of a young married couple, and now you're a young married couple with a family.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting that you've pointed out that a lot of your day-to-day or your things that you want to do have not changed drastically. Right?
Yep.
You're not suddenly, you don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, where do you take your child?
Exactly.
You have all the same opportunities that you had before. And I think that that's a really cool note, especially for young families. But, anybody who's making a transition in their life, you're welcome in Roanoke, and there's always going to be something here for you.
Exactly. And you got to keep your eyes out for the new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, it's always happening.
Yep.
So last question, where can our listeners today find information about the Chamber, VBR Life, your resources, upcoming events in the community? Yeah,
really, RoanokeChamber.org is our website, and we're working to redesign that and kind of reinvigorate that over the course of the year. I always encourage anyone in the community, whether it be our members or just a community member that might be a future member, just reach out to our team. Where can we help? Is there a business connection we can make? Like we said in the beginning of the segment, promote, stimulate, and improve business. That's what our team works on every day, whether it be myself as president, Terry, our public policy, our Vice President of Public Policy, Chris Stanger, our Director of Membership Experience, Austin King, our Communications Manager. He's incredibly passionate about quality, concise content, but he needs that content from the community, and needs that content from the members to help promote it.
That's a good point.
And then Valerie, our Events Manager, Manager of Events and Programs, she's focused on quality programs and always is looking for feedback on events and what are other folks doing and are there quality speakers we can bring in. So that's the main thing, is just connect with us. RoanokeChamber.org is the great way to do that. Under the About Us tab, you'll see our staff page. shoot us an email. Let's grab a cup of coffee. I mean that sincerely. That's one thing that helps us do our job, is promoting the stories of our members in the community.
You heard it here. Grab a cup of local coffee.
That's right.
Hang out. If you see a tall, handsome man with a big, giant pair of scissors, that's probably Eric hanging out, getting ready to open a new business.
Some ribbon cutting coming up. Yeah, absolutely.
Tons of ribbon cuttings.
Yep.
So thank you so much, Eric, for being our
Thank
guest
you.
on From Print to Podcast, for sharing all the great things the Chamber does for our business community and the region as a whole. Thank you again.
Thank
we really
you.
appreciate your time. Listeners, please don't forget to pick up a copy of VBR Life, the ultimate guide for living in Virginia's Blue Ridge, found in our Jan-Feb issue of the Roanoker, at the Chamber office, or for free around the region. You can also see more at theroanoker.com. Thanks again to our segment sponsor, the Roanoke Regional Chamber, for sharing all the great things they do for our community. Learn more about their services, membership, events, and all the great things they're doing at roanokechamber.org. Our next segment is sponsored by Downtown Roanoke Inc.'s Restaurant Week, happening January 20th through the 29th in 2023. Roanoke's Tastiest Week returns. Restaurant Week is your chance to experience downtown's extensive mix of lunch and dinner options. Try out several different restaurants that fit your budget and get a great taste of local that offers something for everyone. Reservations are encouraged at restaurants that accept them. See the list of participating restaurants, offerings, and more at downtownroanoke.org. I'm so excited about our next guest, who many of you probably already know. We're so pleased to welcome John Park on our first episode of the podcast. You may already know John from his popular social media account, Hungry Asian, which highlights all the amazing spots to eat and drink in our region, amongst other locations. He's always on the road discovering new menus, chefs, and hidden gems. We always appreciate John's recommendations, and especially his amazing eye for photography, as he's been our dining and food features photographer for the Roanoker magazine for several years, and 2023 is looking better than ever, and more delicious, if I might add. You can see more from him in our Jan-Feb issue on newsstands now, or see more at theroanoker.com. Hi, John. Thank you so much for coming on our show today for our very first episode.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Yeah, I'm well. Thank you so much for taking the time. And you can see he actually shot our cover of the November-December 2022 issue featuring Peggy Fleming from Gina's Food with Flavor. And you can catch all the great photography he's taken inside the issue, too. You've got such a good eye for food, man.
Thank you so much. I'm really humbled to be here. Like I think this is my second podcast I've ever done, and the first one was like years ago. So I kind of like forgotten what the deal is.
We'll hop back in. We'll put you right back on the wagon. So first, we wanted to talk about kind of your background. So are you from Roanoke?
No, originally from Northern Virginia. Moved to this area in 2004 after graduating from Virginia Tech, and so I keep telling people, I hate to say it this way, but I've been here since before Roanoke started being cool.
Well, me too, obviously. Well, and I would say, honestly, without pumping up your ego too much, I'd say you're definitely, you're on the food scene. You're somebody that people go to as an expert for local food.
Yeah, and it's what's crazy is like coming out of the pandemic, I don't know what the catalyst was, but I hate saying this, but like, every day, I feel like when I'm out, I'm being spotted. Meaning,
I believe it.
Somebody's like, "Oh, you're that Instagram food guy," and I'm just like, "What?" It didn't really happen that much before the pandemic, but now coming out of the pandemic, I feel like it's happening more, and I think a lot of it is like I think we saw an influx of people moving here from outside the area, and especially from larger metropolitan areas where in the use of Instagram is a much bigger part of their life.
Sure.
And so these folks are seeking me out and seeking other people out who are doing things in the city. So, but yeah, it's it's one of those things where I actually kind of side note, I actually was very anti-Instagram when it first came out. Being a photographer, I was like, who do these people think they are? Everybody thinks they're going to be a photographer now that Instagram's around. And interestingly enough, back, I think it was like 2012 or 13, Roanoke Times was running an Instagram contest. So wrap your brain around that. 2012, nobody was running Instagram contests.
Right.
Like that's a thing now, right? But nobody was running Instagram contests in 2012. So I was like, and this was a food one. I think Lindsay Nair was running it. It's like, hey, take photos of your food. I was like, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to win this competition.
John Park doesn't come to lose, just for the record.
No. So I actually started my Instagram account just because of that.
Nice.
And I got something out of it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so actually, why that account? Not necessarily just Instagram, but what is it about food, especially in the local scene, that makes you so passionate about it?
I come from a family who loves food. My mom is a really good cook. and food is like really the center of like all of our gatherings. And I think, in all honesty, I think a lot of cultures it's that direction, right? Food is like a way you show love. And so growing up in a family where food was like a big deal, like it just kind of translated into my adult life. And I've always enjoyed cooking. And then it just kind of started happening when, we started getting restaurants in Roanoke that were actually worth talking about. And that didn't really happen until probably like 2010 or 11.
Kind of blew up, right?
Yeah, it
Suddenly
kind of
we've
blew
got
up.
a ton of options. They're just really incredible.
I was actually telling somebody else, somebody kind of newer to the area about this not long ago. I actually tell people like there's like a demarcation in the timeline of Roanoke food, and it all bases around Lucky. So I talk about the Roanoke food scene before Lucky and after Lucky. There was local roots before Lucky, and that was kind of like that farm to table movement. And what's interesting is like a lot of people don't know this, but very highly regarded chefs actually cooked like pop-up dinners at local roots. I mean, we're talking people like Sean Brock, Ashley Christensen, Ed Lee. I mean, these are people, James Beard Awards, been on Top Chef. And these were, before they became well-known.
Right. I was working at Local Roots for that Sean Brock dinner, actually, and
okay.
waiting tables. And I wanted to eat the food so bad.
Yeah.
But then you sent me down to Charleston, and I got to eat at his restaurant, so it worked out well.
So they were kind of like that first one to start. And then when Lucky came on the scene, it really changed a lot of things. And it also, I think, kickstarted the cocktail scene in this area. I mean, once Lucky came out with their cocktails and everybody embraced them, if you were opening a new restaurant to that caliber, you better have a cocktail program, or it just wasn't going to be that great.
Yeah, and we're actually going to be talking about cocktails and other drinks in our spin-off bonus episode with you here released shortly. But to get into, so you've actually hit the nail on the head. So our Jan-Feb issue is our newcomer's guide.
Okay.
And it's great for locals, but it's also good for people who are moving to the area. They need to know where to go.
Right.
And so I've learned from experience, you don't like to be called a foodie. You're what we call a food evangelist. This has been something that I have thought about for years since we did the interview 5 years ago.
I've never really liked that term foodie, and I feel like it kind of has a negative connotation that you're a bit of a food snob. And so, every time I hear that term foodie, like it just, to me, it seems like, oh, you just like, go eat at the nicest restaurants or the prettiest places. No, like for me, I don't really care where the food comes from. I will just be happy eating an amazing hamburger out of a gas station as much as I am happy to go eat at like Bloom or a Michelin star restaurant.
Right.
Because love and passion comes through in food regardless of what price point you're at. So I actually seek out those smaller places that people are literally putting their blood, sweat, and tears and their love into the food. And sometimes I just feel that's a better experience than going to some, high-end restaurant.
Yeah. And actually, so one of the things, again, that I've learned about John is I can't just come to you and say, where's the best burger in town? Because John is very specific. So you're going to realize this as you get to know him. He's got to have categories, right?
Yeah,
you got to have
absolutely.
like tags for him. So it's, a price point, it's a location in the region, things like that. So we're going to dive right into where our newcomers and locals should go.
Okay.
So we're going to start with breakfast. Okay. It's easier since we're not going to give him categories because best burger might take an hour to cover all the great ideas. But let's start with breakfast. If you're new to the area or a local and you want to go get a great breakfast somewhere, and we could name a whole bunch of them, but where are your kind of maybe top locations you'd recommend for someone?
This might be surprising to y'all, and some of y'all who are listening know that I went through this thing called the Biscuit Chronicles during the pandemic, where everybody was baking sourdough bread. I actually went on a biscuit baking kick. So,
how many batches did you end up making?
I think I ended up with like 30 plus.
I would say I remember 30. I remember number 32.
Yeah, it's a lot. So with that being said, I actually prefer. I do enjoy biscuits, but I actually prefer bagel sandwiches versus a biscuit sandwich. So my first place is going to be RT Smith's downtown. They've been around forever. If you want to go down there and get a great breakfast, a breakfast bagel sandwich, go do it and ask them to make a John Park 2.0.
Of course, you have a menu item named after you.
John Park 2.0 is off menu.
Okay.
You better like a little bit of heat, and you might get a thing called Taylor ham or pork roll. I gotta say both, or we're gonna have this like fight between all the people from Jersey. Yeah, so that's one of my favorite places to go. And then secondarily, like I also like Scratch Biscuit.
Gotta love a Scratch Biscuit.
Yeah, so if you like biscuits, then go to Scratch Biscuit.
Yeah.
If you like bagels, go to RT Smith's.
I have a buddy in Missouri who he came here for a conference every couple of years I put on, and he literally would probably drive across the country just for Scratch Biscuit. I'm pretty sure he would buy the T-shirt, go work there if given the opportunity. He
They're
loves that
hiring.
place. Well, then maybe I should tell him. The other thing, to think about, because if you're not downtown, so for example, it's out in Botetourt, right, is Donnie D's Bagels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're tight.
Yeah, Donnie D's Bagels, they do a really good job. They actually do make their own bagels in-house, and they do a pretty good job of it. And then the other place that makes bagels in-house is Full Moon Bakery.
Oh, man.
On 419, so Southwest County. So if you're in Southwest County and you're looking for a great bagel, go to Full Moon.
Yeah, or their chocolate chip cookies, for the record. I
don't think I've ever had one.
Oh, my gosh. Just get a dozen of them and call it, because you're going to eat the whole batch. They're amazing.
So, it's interesting fact about the folks that own Full Moon Bakery. They are former defectors of North Korea. And the gentleman and his wife learned how to bake bagels, I believe, in New York.
Wow.
I don't know how they ended up down here, but
yeah,
there was a whole story about them a few years back.
Story to be uncovered for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we've talked breakfast. So lunch is kind of hard and easy all at the same time, because there's so many great places. But
oh my God,
where's some of your top places for lunch, you think?
All right, my first shout out for lunch is Viet Sub.
Oh man,
Viet Sub.
I think Genya and I talked about that in the first segment, because it's just so impossible not to mention them.
Yeah, Viet Sub is for those of y'all who are not familiar with Viet Sub is known for their banh mi's. Banh mi is a Vietnamese sub sandwich. So for those of y'all who need a little refresher on history, Vietnam was colonized by the French for many, many years. And so if you look at the Vietnamese cuisine, there's a lot of French influence. And so part of that banh mi is a French-style baguette. Now, it is not exactly the same as a French baguette. It is a little bit different, but it comes from that, it comes from a baguette. The other thing is pâté. So pâté is part of the banh mi, and so pâté is very, very French. And so, but that is one of my favorite places to have lunch, just because it's super fresh, it's super quick, it's not super expensive, and it doesn't matter where you're in Roanoke, you're not that far from Viet Sub.
That's true.
I mean, it's kind of centrally located.
That's true.
The next place I would probably put on my radar is Crystal Springs Grocery.
Yeah, their chicken sandwich.
Yeah, like they do a really good fried chicken sandwich. They're also really good at they call it a Maddie's Patty. It is like
named after the head chef, Matt Lentz, over there.
Yep. It is kind of like their take on a McDonald's Big Mac. So it's got the special sauce and seeded bun. So yeah, those two are my tops. And then I don't know if I should save this one for dinner or not, but if Sticks and Spoons is open for lunch, so they're not open for lunch every day. So Sticks and Spoons is a ramen restaurant on Williamson Road. I would definitely put that on your radar as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And they pop up pretty often over at Food Hut Roanoke, located over in West End. And so they're a great, they're like sold out every time I even think about going over there. It's already done and over. So I got to get over there at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, just wait in line for a minute.
Exactly. So don't wait. Like they don't take reservations. It's a very small location. A lot of people do go the takeout route just because it's a small restaurant.
Sure.
But man, I I'm not a huge takeout person, especially when it comes to ramen. Like I want to eat it like right there.
Yeah,
like, I want it hot.
sense.
I want it right there. So I don't really take it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So dinner is another one, man. It's tough. We talked about local roots. You got that good farm to table. My personal favorite's going to have to be Bloom. It is 3 blocks from my house. It is impossible not to walk down there every Friday for their happy hour and a really delicious tapas meal.
I'm going to break out dinner into a couple categories.
Of course you are. Let's do
Because
it.
I just feel like there's some places like I got a spotlight and they don't necessarily fall into the same category. And this might be a surprise to some of y'all, but one of like my top favorite places to eat for dinner is Richie Freeze.
Okay.
Richie Freeze on Williamson Road, cash only. I repeat.
Oh, good note.
Cash only. I think they have an ATM inside, but they've been around forever. I think the same couple has owned that place since like the 80s. Nothing fancy. We're talking flat top burgers. We're talking hot dogs, French fries, onion rings, soft serve ice cream. But there's just something about that place where, like, it's one of my favorite burgers. And pro tip, do not get the super burger. Get the double cheeseburger. And the reason I say this is the super burger, the bun's too big.
Okay.
There's this whole, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole.
Very personal choice, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole of I talk about this with my friends, this bun to meat ratio.
We've had this
Yes,
conversation.
there's a thing called a bun to meat ratio. If your bun's too big, if you got too much meat, there's like this perfect ratio. So the double cheeseburger meets that like really good meat to bun ratio.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of my favorite places to eat. And again, this is like, just comfort food. I don't have to wear like something nice. Like I could just go roll up.
Yeah.
Whenever. But then like if we're talking like nicer restaurants. I'm with you. Like Bloom is definitely on my radar in terms of like one of my favorite places. They just one of the things I love about Bloom is that the menu is set up so you can order a bunch of different things and share. So if you're going with like
Or not. We don't judge.
you don't have to share.
I do, begrudgingly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, if you're eating with me, like that is not your plate of food.
Right.
That's everyone's plate of food. So keep that right. Keep that straight. And if you don't like to eat that way, you're just not eating with me. I'm just, So Bloom's menu is set up like you could take like 5 or 6 people with you and just order the whole menu. It's not super expensive to order the whole menu, and you can literally try just a little bit of everything.
Yep.
And trust me, you are not going to leave that place hungry.
No way. I never do.
No. And then they also have great cocktails, and it's just a great vibe. Like it's a really nice setup.
Yeah. The other place that really inspires me, that's sort of that, it's not, it feels high end, but you can walk in jeans, is Sidecar. So Jason Martin, he owns Sidecar and Martin's Downtown.
Yep.
Both 2 places I love, but 2 different vibes, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
Martin's, oh my gosh, I dream about their fried chicken mac and cheese, like for real.
Wait a minute, Martin's fried chicken mac and cheese?
Yes. Ridiculous.
You're
welcome.
I don't think I've ever had it.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're going to go and enjoy that. And then Sidecar is great, that European style menu.
Yeah.
I really like their kind of tapas. You can try different things a little bit at a time.
Yep.
But they've been great, and good cocktails as well.
Yeah, I mean that's like the beauty of Sidecar is like they have this massive bar, and like I'm a huge fan of sitting at the bar, especially if I'm going to have drinks, because like for me, sitting at the bar is the show as well.
Absolutely. It's the experience,
yeah,
right?
exactly. If the bartenders are making drinks, it's part of that. It's part of the experience. So I actually like sitting at the bar. And pro tip, if there's ever a restaurant that you're trying to get reservations to, and it's booked up, get there at 5 o'clock and try to sit at the bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're more than likely going to be able to get in there.
Absolutely.
So just
final shout out will probably be, and you did this. This was actually our cover a couple of years ago of Frankie Rollins Steakhouse.
Sure.
If you're looking for a steak, man, that's where we go for our anniversary.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you don't want to, if you
definitely high end.
Yeah, if you don't want to cook a steak at home and you like that, you like old school classic steakhouse sides. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yep.
I dream about those the scallops, the Parmesan cream sauce scallops.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're welcome again. It's gonna be
yeah.
a blast.
The few times that I've gone to Frankie's, I think I've only had steak.
Yeah, the pineapple martinis. Ooh, that'll be dangerous if you.
Oh
don't be
man,
careful.
those things have been around forever.
And there's a reason, because they're classic, man.
Yeah, they've been around forever.
Thank you again so much for being on our very first episode.
Oh, you're so very welcome.
We're very excited to have you here. And of course, please stay tuned. We are going to be doing a special bonus episode where we're going to talk even more about great food and dining
I love it.
In our region. So please stay tuned. But thank you again, and for sharing your recommendations on the many great restaurants and more you're going to find in Virginia's Blue Ridge. And be sure to check out our next episode. We're grateful for John's time and suggestions, and can't wait to see more from him in our dining features of every issue in 2023. You're going to drool over every page, I promise. Be sure to follow John on social media at Hungry Asian and see his latest photography in our Jan-Feb issue on newsstands now, or see more at theroanoker.com. This has been our very first episode of the Roanoke Presents From Print to Podcast, hosted by your favorite local editor, Liz Long. Thanks so much to our sponsors, the Roanoke Regional Chamber and Downtown Roanoke Inks, for their annual restaurant week. And of course to our friends Genya, Kalinina, Eric Sichau, and John Park. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll learn all about Roanoke's iconic skyline from writer Mason Adams, and hang out with the super fun Super Carlin brothers, two of our 40 Under 40 Class of 2023 winners. You're going to hear all about the incredible things they're doing to give back to our community. Be sure to get our latest issue on newsstands now, or read even more at theroanoker.com. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.